It's whatever you want. We're all good.
All right, here we go. And like I said last time, excuse me, I'll put all the music and everything in later. So we'll just get right into it.
Okay. Sounds great.
Welcome in to the Bite Meat podcast. And it is time to visit one of the friends of the podcast, big time. And that is champion pitmaster Doug Scheiding here on the Bite Meat podcast. And man, your ears must have been burning recently. We had the great Jeremy Andrus on. And first of all, let me get a couple things out of the way because we have new listeners every week. Don't forget to subscribe for the podcast on Podbean, where we host it, and you can subscribe there, but you can really subscribe anywhere, iTunes, Spotify, etc. And we will get to some of your questions. I get some of those. I'm getting those pretty regularly as well. But Doug, so we had Jeremy Andrus on, joined us for the podcast, and I think I mentioned it to you via text. And so we're puttering along, and it's really interesting stuff. I mean, that guy is all about next level, the latest innovations, making it better, making it, etc. And then at the end of the podcast, I was kind of giving him a hard time. I said, I hear you make the greatest steak. Yeah, I mean, it's in his bio. If it's in your bio, it's true, right?
Yes. Actually, I listened to that episode today, so I heard it. Yeah.
And he goes, hold on. Doug Scheiding has got this steak that he's just killing it with. And you texted me a little bit about that. And I thought I've heard just about everything, but let's start right there. You are obviously a Traeger guy as well, but I want to hear about this steak, man.
Well, I listening to your podcast, some people say, leave it out for a bit and meat and etc. I'm a proponent, always have been, especially since I switched to Traeger full time in 2013. Mm-hmm. The meat needs to be as cold as possible when it goes onto the grill. Mm-hmm. And originally I did that because of trying to get more smoke, especially with brisket, right? And so I started doing it with steak. Mm-hmm. Just thought, well, I'll try to get a little more smoke flavor. So I have I call it the Scheiding steak method. And so
as well you should.
Yes, as well I should, because I've never heard of it. All right, so there's 4 unique aspects to it. So let's go get the overview of it. Yeah. So basically, I freeze the steak with the rub on it for 15 minutes.
Wow.
Okay. So, and I'm trying to get the temperature down. And this all resulted, I talked about my OCD tendencies, etc. I don't like the, the ribs with the hard bark and stuff. I don't like that gray line that goes around, mm-hmm. The steak, and that's because it's a little overcooked, right? Yeah. You want to try to get a medium rare red to red, from side to side. So, mm-hmm. I found out that, all right, so freeze it. I think that helps try to eliminate that.
Quick question that immediately jumped into mind for me.
Yeah.
Do you let it sweat first, or do you just put the spices on and immediately freeze it?
Yeah, I use, Head Country marinade, or use Worcestershire sauce or soy sauce, whatever you want. And then I put my rubs on, and then I put it directly into a freezer on a little metal baking sheet.
Yeah, some air on both sides.
So it's getting the air on but that baking sheet is actually getting really cold. That's actually important in the methodology. So freeze the steak. Jess Pryles, she cooks more hot and fast, and the flip mm-hmm. method, etc. Mm-hmm. Totally the right method if you're cooking hot and fast. Mm-hmm. I actually like to cook it low to get smoke. So mm-hmm. I don't flip, and I have it on the grill, the Traeger, for an hour, and then I sear at specifically 350 degrees the temperature of the cast iron with a little bit of duck fat. Yeah. The reason is for the Maillard effect, because that's where you get the nutty flavors and things like that. If you sear it, 500 degrees like I used to, you're mm-hmm. basically just charring it. You're destroying the meat fibers, and so that's a little bit of a different taste and sometimes bitter.
Yeah.
And the fourth procedure in the steak method is that basically you don't let it rest.
Oh wow!
It only rests for his hashtag phone eats first, and which is about a minute. That helps you. I never worry about carryover. And the reason is that when you slice it very quickly after you get it off the pit, first of all, the juices don't get reabsorbed. So that's a fallacy. We know that's a myth. But it releases the steam, which is inside the steak that's trying to push the water out. So the temperature doesn't increase. So when I say I'm cooking it to 132, 134, it's pretty much 132, 134 because I'm cutting it within a minute. And typically, like in the class I did at Texas Star, I did a prime rib roast there. One of the Heart brand, who you've had on the show. That was probably one of the best or the best piece of meat I've ever put in my mouth.
Oh, wow.
That's the way I did it
in the class, which is always good.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And it was one of their Akiushi prime rib roast. One of my cooking buddies from the Wild Game crew, Tom, he when I showed up, he basically said, "Hey, if you have time, I'll buy this, this $330 prime rib roast if you serve it to everybody." I'm like, yeah, that might be fun.
We can do that.
It turned out unbelievably. But again, just like with that, I don't worry about the carryover because I slice it right into bites really fast.
Man, that is a steak like I've never heard before. And you may have noticed I'm writing all this down, and I'll probably re-listen to this myself. Yeah. The only question is, will you smoke it at what temperature? You said for about an hour.
Very good question. Depends a little bit on the thickness.
Let's say 2-inch steak, a nice good 2-inch.
2-inch, I'd probably go 200 to 225. If it's an inch and a half or so, I try to go 180. Okay. And so I'll put that on there. It does also two things. Number one, remember I told you put it on that baking sheet when you put it into the freezer, and 15 minutes is for an inch and a half. If you're doing a 2-inch, you're a big boy kind of guy. So I would do it for 20 minutes. But anyway, so the cookie sheet gets, because it's aluminum, gets cold really fast. So that bottom side actually gets colder than the top side, and you heat from the inside out, right? With through convection, and so it's making that outside colder than the inside. So I actually think to me, that's my theory, is what's going on why I get red to red almost 90% of the time. That's awesome. Cooking it this way. So do it like that. Then when you put it on the grill, the heat from the Traeger's coming up from the bottom, that's colder already because of that aluminum pan. And so to me, that makes sense. And so then get it to about 120 or so. If you're going to sear it right away, I'd cook it to about 120, and then go to
132, 134.
And get your pan. If you've got an induction, if you've got the Timberline XL and have the induction, I use ThermalWorks infrared to look at, and it's about 4 clicks on that induction. And once it gets to about 350 or so, then I put the duck fat spray, 15 to 30 seconds, heat it up in there, and then put it down, and I flip it so the nice pretty side I sear that first. Gotcha. And then, because when you do the steaks, especially if you're smoking them like that, you'll get the ridges, you'll get the waves. Yeah. And so you've got one side that has the waves, the other side is untarnished. Just like cooking your brisket fat side down, you want the nice pretty bark on the top. So, and then just, do it about 4 minutes, flip it over, and then monitor the temperature when it gets to about where you want, 132, 134, pull it off, and then take a few pictures and slice.
Well, I'm telling you, we jumped right into the cooking techniques here, because I was like, I got to ask him about this, because you heard it. He was over the moon. Yeah. He was over the top with the way you make a steak now, and that is very unique. And now, one other question: when you smoke it on the Traeger, do you take it off the aluminum pan?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yeah. You put it directly.
I thought you did, but I wanted to make sure.
Take it off and put it directly on there. And then I'll even monitor a little bit. And if it's cooking a little fast, I'll, spritz it with some a little bit of apple juice and stuff. But yeah, when I was up there 2 months ago, and Jeremy popped in before the class started, and goes, "Hey, I hear you've got this new steak method." And so I talked to him, and then he posted a picture of us and said, "This guy gave me a master class in steak in 10 minutes." And so yeah, he was very complimentary. I actually had someone recently that came to my house, and he and another guy, and he's like, "I make the best steak ever. My steak is the best." And I said, "Oh, well, no pressure, right?" So okay, yeah, all right. So like, and then after he ate my steak, he goes, "Well, I make the second best steak."
That's pretty dang good. That's pretty dang good.
And the other guy agreed. So yeah, it was actually the videographers from that video shoot I was talking about.
Oh,
so,
that's funny.
And his video guy goes, "Yeah, you make the second best steak."
And for those who haven't heard Doug on the show before, I mean, obviously that's credentials enough when you get Jeremy saying that about your steak. But
you.
your credentials are off the top. You got if anybody looking at this on YouTube, you got all your hardware behind you, Houston Rodeo, other championships, etc. And so the science of it, is also in a previous episode with you, how deeply involved you are with that. But you said something that leads directly to another question I had for you, because you were talking about, I posted the video, the podcast of Jeremy.
Yes.
And without fail, there's always a few stragglers, so I posted it on my social media, Twitter, Facebook, the whole 9 yards, Instagram, and like clockwork, there was like 2 or 3 guys. I don't trust those pellet grills.
No,
you couldn't get me. You couldn't get me to cook, anything on a pellet grill. And I'm like, man, do you guys know what you're missing? If you haven't caught up by now, that's not. I cook on everything. I mean, I cook on my offset a lot.
Yep.
I cook on the pellet grill, my Traeger a lot. But if you're not on board now, there's almost like, what are you waiting for? With pellet grill.
Totally agree. I mean, I was a contrarian. I'm a contrarian by nature, so I like doing different things and going on my own drum beat. But I actually like it, because I felt that when I went to a competition, and I still do to a certain extent, that I'm at a disadvantage, because if, a lot of people that, you've got those $20,000 Jambos out there, and that just produces a beautiful blue smoke all day and all night long. But no, to me, I think somebody else said it on the show as well, that it freed me up to work on recipes. And like I said in the first show, it's a barbecue contest, not a fire management contest. And it's actually been very opening to me to use the other side of my brain for creativity and work on a bunch of things. And like you said, in terms of my scientific approach, every cook, and it drives my wife crazy, but I enjoy it. And, it's a little bit of enjoyment as well. But every cook is an A-B cook, or, it's A-B or 1, 2, 3. So last night we had some friends over, and they wanted steak. And so I said, okay. So I cooked the steak 2 different ways. I'm actually, I'm in the early stages of it, but working on a potential steak rub down the road. But
nice.
So I had version 6, version 5, and version 6 that I was comparing last night.
But it also leads to those still straggling contrarians. A very open-ended question that a lot of people just don't know, that I'm going to throw to you, because you've done everything on them. Exactly what can you do with a Traeger? Because it seems like people they pigeonhole themselves into just certain cooks, and you can't get bark and you can't do that. But what can you do with these pellet grills?
You can do almost everything. Okay, let's start off with the basics. And we had a little bit of on another podcast, a little bit of discussion that it's basically a convection oven. So we never use our oven. So anything you think you can do in your oven, you can do it on the pellet grill. We use our double ovens to store our cast iron, is basically what we do now. We don't use them at all. And so what can you do on a pellet grill? You can smoke, you can grill because you can go up to 500 degrees. I've actually fried on my pellet grill. I've fried wings. I just did it just to see if I could do it. And we at the Houston rodeo, we cooked desserts, and my wife's gotten to 5th and 6th, and so you can actually bake on it as well. We do beans. We do.
I've done a lot of beans I love them.
Exactly. So you can get it hot enough to boil it and get those beans soft and also to actually get the temperature in a Dutch oven. I wouldn't fry in a skillet on a pellet grill, but in a Dutch oven, so you've got a couple of inches, so nothing's going to boil over sort of thing, because you don't want to get into that type of situation. But heck, and now with the new Timberline XL, it has an induction side right built into the grill. So I don't know, I can't think of really much that I sear. If I don't have using my steak recipe, normally what I would do, like even if I'm cooking, like if I'm off somewhere and I'm cooking on that little Ranger, the little suitcase one, it has its own custom sear plate, right? The cast iron that goes right over it. I would actually cook my steak like I just told you. I would probably go to about 128 or so, 130, pull it off, put it on that same aluminum pan, tint it, and then I'd crank the temperature to about 375 and put that sear plate on there. And then after about 10 to 15 minutes, then it's up to temperature. You can check it, and the steak has probably gone down to about 115 or so. Right. And then you can sear. You can sear right on the Traeger. So you can do almost anything. So I'd like someone to challenge me to try to do something.
Oh, they've tried.
Exactly.
They've tried.
I believe I was the first one in competition barbecue in Texas to cook solely on pellet grills. Just period. Cook everything, dessert, beans, even the 3 meats. A lot of people used it for chicken and things like that. I actually learned about pellet grills when I cooked at the Jack Daniels, because you never saw them here back 2009, 2010. And I'm like, man, these people do barbecue like 50 weeks out of the year, and they've got a pellet cooker in their arsenal. And so that I was cooking on drums. I was solo at that time, and I was cooking on drums that I used to make. So in a drum, you can sleep at night. Once you get that thing settled, it'll go. And just like a pellet cooker. So long answer. Sorry.
No, that's good. I like the detail, and I was sitting here thinking, I mentioned this to Jeremy. So as soon as that new tailgater comes out, I need to get they're developing something. He gave us a hint on that, to do a little tailgate grill and kind of refine that. They're always trying to forward things, to move forward.
Well, they have it, and they have one right now called the tailgater.
But he said they're looking for a next generation.
And basically the camaraderie of basically what barbecue is and how that fits with the Traeger family.
And the other thing that's going on in your life that I wanted to definitely mention before we get into basting and brushing and et cetera, because I think that's something that you can help us with and talk about a lot, is you're kind of taking over the barbecue world, man. I mean, you've got rubs going on. You got
I don't know about that. I don't know about
collaborations going on. You got the barbecue news calling you the best of the best.
Yes. And did you notice what category I won first place in?
Oh, what was that?
Seafood.
Oh, wow.
And on the label, it says it's good and with fish. And I won first place in seafood from the barbecue news. So there you go. So you need to use my all-purpose on some seafood the next time.
Well, tell us about the rubs, because you're really kind of growing. On a serious note, I mean, what's going on with your rubs and all that?
Right. Well, I'm a Head Country ambassador, so I've always used their products, and their Head Country Original and their High Plains Heat and stuff. And so I was the type that would take different rubs, and usually 2 or 3, and then kind of layer them. Don't mix them together. Yeah, exactly. Right. You don't mix them together because you want the layering effect, because if you're using one that's really high in salt, put that down first. Or if it's something that's really high in sugar, like the meat candy or something from Suckle Busters, or put that on first because you don't want it to burn. So I always combine things for flavor profiles, and I always like to bring like when I won the Houston Rodeo, I was using Harry Sue's jailbird chicken. And I liked it because it had kind of almost a tang flavor to it, and that orange flavor. But I like different, contrarian, of course, bringing tastes or flavors from outside into Texas barbecue. So I like even the fusion stuff. So even like the Szechuan sauce that I sent to you. So I hope you enjoy that.
Yeah, I've got it. I just used it for the first time. I used the other one several times that you sent me, but
yeah.
Loved it. So you're all over. Where can people find this?
Yeah. So my roguecookers.com. I sell my 3 rubs, the all-purpose seasoning, the Texas brisket rub, which is the same recipe that I've used in the San Antonio Rodeo, getting a second and fourth, and with the Wild Game Crew, we got a first at the Texas Ranger 200th year celebration cook-off last summer, and my Doug's dust, which is a finishing dust. And so that's in competition barbecue, it's about 1 bite. There's you've heard of White Lightning, the Boar's Night Out White Lightning.
Yeah.
I designed my Doug's dust to compete against them, and actually in the barbecue news, in the overall rankings of the 100 rubs or so that they were entered, I was number 6, and I was bookended by Boar's Night Out on the White Lightning. I'm like, mission accomplished.
Yeah, I can do that. I can.
Yeah, so that's it. I designed it to compete with them in a barbecue because mine is paprika based. So in terms of where can you get it, all 4 locations at Texas Star Grill. You can go to roguecookers.com, and I've got a shop page there. It actually ships from Texas Star Grill, and also Barbecue Pro Shop has it on a nationwide basis. And then Home Depot, my brisket rub was in about, I think it's like 9 or 10 locations there in Houston last year, and they're probably going to go to about 1/3 of their stores nationwide now. And they're going to pick up probably at least two of my rubs, and in some locations they're going to have all 3.
Awesome. So easy to find. What about the collaboration you got with Bulleit Bourban?
Oh, well, yeah, Traeger, the video company went to Traeger and pitched this idea. It's a series called Grilled and Distilled. And so they collaborated with Bulleit Bourban. And so they did one in Texas and they did one in California. And so it was basically mixing the Bulleit cocktails that are customized to certain recipes, and the marketing program is called Bulleit Makes the Meal. And so they came to my house and shot we shot videos, and we had basically I did hors d'oeuvres, or my hors d'oeuvre was pork belly burn-ins. And I used some of that Szechuan in my barbecue sauce that was mixed with a sauce you might know, OG.
Hey,
the OG.
How'd we do?
Oh yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So I mixed that with a little Head Country, and your sauce. Yeah, I know your sauce is really good. So I just think it's really good. So that's one of my new toys that I'm playing with the Szechuan.
Well, you know where to get some more. I'll be happy.
Oh,
to send
absolutely.
It, don't order it next time. Don't order it next time.
It's going to be my dad's going to be in my dad's Christmas present too. So
nice.
Did that. Then we did Texas beef ribs, green chili mac and cheese. And so they had, and we had a mixologist from here in San Antonio that's a competitor. And so he mixed some drinks, a low ABV for the initial one, so because you don't want people to get drunk and in the beginning and drink responsibly and stuff. And so that's what we did. And so we shot videos for like 12 hours the second day and stuff. And so it was fantastic. So if you go, I'm going to post one of them here shortly. So one
nice.
of the videos.
We'll look. And they can find that on all your Rogue Cooker.
Yeah, it'll be on my Facebook page, and I'm going to start posting them on the Instagram. So if you go to License to Distill, it's on their YouTube page as well as on their Instagram page. So they've got 4 1-minute reels, and then they've got an 8-minute long video that's fantastic.
Awesome. Well, we have a lot of people that listen to this podcast and a lot of different opinions. And you mentioned OG sauce. Thank you for that, by the way. And it leads directly to basting and brushing sauce. I have my go-tos, how I do it on certain meats, etc. But I want to hear it from you, someone who's has been around for a long time and heard that some people. And this is still kind of the old school mentality of your barbecue's good enough, you don't need sauce. Well, ask some of the guys that have trophies like you do, because they all use sauce. But then the question becomes, okay, I'm going to do it. How do I do it? When do I baste? What meats, etc.?
Yeah. So, I don't do let's say basting. I think of in I listen to
brushing
because basting I think is in more like what Aaron said. In terms of basting your ribs and stuff. If I was going to baste something, that would be something that I would probably baste some if I was doing something like that. But sauce and one of the unwritten secrets in competition barbecue, and I resisted this for a long time, is before you turn it in, you put a glaze on top of that, and then you can either put it on back on the pit or not. So I actually mix like a mix of 50% au jus. We strain it. That's why we cook in the foil, and we strain and get the black gold au jus, straight au jus with barbecue sauce. And then I will take it and I'll do it with a brush really lightly on the top of the brisket. And when you slice it, you'll never even know, but it gives it just a touch of sweetness.
It does. It absolutely does.
I refused it for almost a year, maybe 14 months. The first contest I went and did that, I got second place in brisket, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm in.
So I was like, maybe I shouldn't renew my just au jus web domain that I have. It points to my Rogue Cookers page. But anyway, so just real lightly. Now I used to put cold sauce on. Don't put cold sauce on it. It gets a little too thick, etc. And if you're going to put sauce on, definitely, or glaze, as you call it, like on a rib, put it on. I used to actually use like a ketchup bottle and go back and forth and just put a real thick coat. And then I'd take it and kind of go both ways and kind of get the excess off. Actually, now it's a little more laborious, but I'll actually just kind of, with a brush, I'll take it, get it, and I'll sprinkle it on. If you will.
I got you.
And I do it as from a hot, and I'll try to get it to coat it, because I don't like to see ribs where someone has put barbecue sauce on and then they paint it, and then you see little ridges where the brush strokes are. I don't like that. So if you take it and kind of jiggle it, and you can sprinkle it is the perfect word. Thank you. And you can fill in the gaps. That puts a lighter coat back on. And then I would actually, one of your guests said they actually put it on at 130 and they help caramelize it a little bit. So I actually, it was Leonard, I think. Was it Leonard?
Leonard Botello?
Yeah, I think it was him. So I actually am going to try that, because normally I would just put it on and keep it on there 5 to 15 minutes or so.
And warm, I you got me intrigued now, because I usually let mine get down to room temperature, my sauce, before I put it on. But you're saying warm, put it on.
Yeah, actually heat it up. Actually heat it up. In some people at competitions, they'll heat it up and they'll put it in a Yeti to keep it hot. Because depending on when you pull and stuff. And so I haven't gone to that level, etc. But it also puts it in as a lighter coat on there versus a thick coat. My wife doesn't like sweet barbecue sauces and things like that. But yours is actually wife approved, so which is always
it's sweet and tangy. It's got a little
it is. It has a
Yeah.
little bit of vinegar in it, but it
Yeah.
has that. It's a little more than a hint, but it's a good flavor of black pepper.
Yeah, it's got a lot of. I like coarse pepper because gives a little more texture,
Yep, you like
and then a little Cajun spice in there as well, and a
right.
little
So that's
and a little
important.
chili powder. I'm giving the whole recipe here.
Oh, yeah. That's what's in my all-purpose. That's my secret ingredient. My all-purpose is
Chili powder.
New
Yeah.
Mexico chili powder specifically. I
Yeah.
grew up in New Mexico. I just think it's a little tangier and stuff. So, but exactly. So you heat it up a little bit, and it makes it a little thinner, if you will. But and get. I like to mix it to basically get it. I'll put 50-50, or I'm always a parts guy, 4-to-1 or whatever. And always put a little bit of apple cider vinegar, just a touch, and that's basically help with the umami, but that's the spark on the tongue that you may get when you taste it.
You sure you don't know my recipe? Because there's apple cider vinegar in there too.
Is there? Yes. That's a secret. That's it's just like salt is, for flavor, and the apple cider vinegar is as well. It's like liquid salt to a certain degree. So gives the pop on the tongue.
All right, so before I let you go, I got more to talk about here, man. But
let's do it.
We're in the midst of the holidays, and I know a lot of people do prime rib in the holidays. You have a little something you want to talk about with the ham.
I do actually. I two things to talk about, but I think you'll like the second one. So we'll talk about ham. So I'm not a huge. There's a couple things to talk about on ham, specifically ham. I'm not a huge ham guy, but there is a recipe, a ginger snap recipe from Alton Brown. So and he puts a little bourbon in there, and so that is fantastic. So when I do a ham, I will do that. Also, did you know that the spiral cut ham, how the hams are cut spiral in a spiral cut way, was developed there in Houston? And
really?
Yes, it was a guy by the name of Pink Logan. Logan Farms. I don't know if you remember that there was a pig, and they have franchisee. He got bought out like in 22, but he's actually the one that invented that and had a device that started the spiral cut hams. And
what would we do without that nowadays?
That's the only way to get is a spiral cut ham. So those are my two ham contributions. Is that one, the ginger snap Alton Brown, and I actually add a little bourbon and orange juice to it. So it's really good. But I did cook a prime rib roast as well as a turkey for Thanksgiving, but for the second year in a row, and this is where I think I might get you interested. We are doing, for the second year in a row, for Christmas, we are doing Feast of the Seven Fishes.
Oh, we're doing it.
No, are you? We are too.
Yeah, because in a sense, we're doing it. So my family tradition is every year, rather than, because we got kind of tired of the old ham rib roast year after year after year after year.
We just had it.
About this is the 11th, I believe, anniversary. My oldest son decided, hey, why don't we pick a country this year and cook all the foods of that country, especially holiday foods and desserts, and we dress up and we decorate the house. So we've done Greece, and we've done Germany, we've done the Caribbean, we've done all kinds of different countries, and I got pictures. I can say it's really a lot of fun, and people start to look forward to the Christmas dinner more than the Christmas presents, even, because they dressed up and all this other stuff. So this year we're doing Italy.
Oh, fantastic. This is great.
This year we're doing Italy. So we have all kinds of different, I'm cooking a monkfish. Well, first of all, I got to find a monkfish for this Brunatelli, I think it's called. I screwed that up, but it's a stew. It's an Italian traditional fish stew with monkfish.
Not a Cioppino then. Yeah.
No, it's not a Cioppino. That one I know, but I'll find it. But and the seven fishes as well, and all that stuff. So how about that?
We've got my wife and I are cooking. Last year we cooked all 7, and we're like, this year I'm like, hey, we'll cook 4. Let's have other people cook a few things. And so yeah, we're doing. I'm going to do char grilled oysters, on the Traeger.
So good.
Have you ever heard of Zaranditos oysters?
I have not.
Okay, it's I've got we were down in Mexico in Puerto Vallarta, and they had these basically it's anjo chilies. I'm going to send you a recipe. Rick Bayless of Chef up in
I love his show.
Okay. He actually has a recipe because I had never even heard of it. And so, we're going to do that. I had actually developed a recipe for Zach Brown when I cooked backstage for him and with sea bass. So I'm going to cook that recipe. My wife is going to do some spicy garlic chili shrimp. Gambas al ajillo is A-G-I. Yeah. So she found this as, we like spicy things. So we're gonna do some stuffed shrimp, sardine focaccia, and shrimp fettuccine. So we're gonna do 7.
That's awesome. Now a little bit of trivia back at you now that you may know, but some of our listeners do not. Rick Bayless is actually Skip Bayless's brother. Skip Bayless from ESPN. They couldn't be more different, by the way. Okay, so I found the menu, and look at this. I mean, you can't even really see, but he put together a menu of all the Italian dishes we're making. The one, I'm making 2, but the one I was talking about is Bordetto Finesse. Finesse, and it's monkfish. It's a monkfish stew. And then I'm also going to make campanella pizza. We have pappardelle. We have all kinds of spatzel, tirolesi. I mean, it's like old school, old Italian Christmas food. So it's gonna be good. Today we got the Amazon guy delivered our Italian flags. I put one out every year of the
no kidding, you are going all out.
Oh wow, and don't tell anybody, but we all kind of put something Italian or of the country that we're doing. And I don't know if you saw The Sopranos.
I love The Sopranos.
Yeah. So I got the hair, makeup, and everything. I'm gonna be Paulie Walnuts. I'm gonna dress up like Paulie Walnuts.
This is great. Oh man, the secret's safe because this will come out next week. So
exactly. So all right, last thing, and then I'll let you go. But clearly, I think you and I are on the same page on a lot of this stuff, and kind of cut from the same cloth based on everything we've just talked about. But tell me about you got some upcoming competitions, huh?
Yeah, actually, I've hadn't cooked ribs in a while, so last week I got a little obsessed, and so I cooked 7 racks of ribs, and I did 4 on Sunday, and then I actually went against my normal. I changed six variables on between the 4, and then I cooked. I wasn't happy, and so then 2 days later, I cooked another 3 racks, and then and then did my customary ABC which one you choose sort of thing. So used a little more OG sauce, by the way. So the San Antonio Rodeo is coming up. That's actually the second largest cook-off behind the American Royal in terms of number of competitors. And then we'll be doing the Houston Rodeo in February. So looking forward to both of those.
Well, I appreciate you using the sauce. And I'll tell you what, we've got some family down in San Antonio. You let me know when you're going to be available. We'll come down, pop down and hang out for a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. We got plenty of room, 2 extra bedrooms, and we're around. So it'd be fun. So, let me say one last thing. My rubs, everyone thinks their kid is the brightest kid and the best looking kid and stuff. So I entered my rubs like in the barbecue news. We, we got 4 top 10 calls. My Doug's Dust was number 7 in seafood too. So that would actually might be good for seafood as well. Using it by that particular contest, they actually cook proteins with Gistro. And I just found out that the NBBQA, the National Barbecue and Grilling Association. At least one of my rubs got a top 5, and so I've been invited to go out to Ocean Springs, Mississippi, and the Shed Barbecue team. They have the Shed Barbecue out there, which is kind of famous in Mississippi. So to go to their awards in the middle of January, so to go to their award ceremony to see. So looking forward to that. So that'll be mixed in before my competition. So
awesome.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that is Doug Scheiding, man. I had a blast, and we will down the road. We'll do this again. There's always something to talk about. But seriously, I can stay down with my family in San Antonio. I'll come down and hang out a little bit, and if not that, maybe here at the Houston Rodeo. So
let me know when you're down this way. So yeah, come see us at the Houston Rodeo if you want to, at the Wild Game Cruise. So yeah, it's
awesome.
one of the best tents.
We'll be in touch. All right, that is Doug Scheiding, and this is the Bite Me Podcast. And coming up next is the Smoking Hot Tip of the Week.